recording starts streaming. Welcome to the Starting Over Podcast. I'm your host, Edward Shelton, aka Dark Logos, and this is the show where we look at the strategies, tactics, and mechanics behind the game of heroclix. Alright, today's episode is going to be interesting. We're going to talk about ID cards. And to everybody that is doing this for the first time or just, coming to check this out, this stream is about a game called heroclix. It's sort of like chess with superheroes with superpowers. So if you're just some rando dude rolling through Twitch, that's what this show's about. So you can check me out on Starting Over Podcast on YouTube.com. Yay. All right, so you might be asking, why am I talking about ID cards today? And one of the big reasons that I'm talking about ID cards is not only that we got that full batch of ID cards from X-Men's Xavier School, we're also looking at the implications recently with the new batch of ID cards and what they mean for the game and why they're important. We can also see how they're going to work in conjunction with some older ID cards. And then what I'm going to do is I'm trying to set up certain types of decks that we can use the ID cards for. Okay? All right, so first off, everybody knows we have the student IDs and the headmaster IDs. And truth be told, out of the student IDs, we're really not getting a lot. But WizKids has set us up where functionally we're moving past a roundtable type discussion. I don't think they're going to produce another roundtable like mechanic for us to have for another 2 years. I don't think that's going to be fair whatsoever. Does that mean that there won't be something like the Quinjet? I don't know. I know there won't be some in contact with Cerebro more than likely. And the main reason I say that is, you don't want to have dead weight on a resource. Even if it's cheap, you don't want dead weight on a resource. And, you can look at Rusty, Skids, Leech even. There's no buff. And since there's no buff, that puts us at a weird position of why would we attach these to a resource. So, let's look at the student IDs first and then sort of go through which ones are we bound to use more so than the others. All right, number one on the list is Leech. Now, for those of you who do not know Leech, Leech in the comic books has been pretty much just the guy that they pop in and be like, you have no powers. Why? Because I'm Leech. That's why. And that's really pretty much how it goes. But we're not going to pop in giant size X-Men Leech. Thank God. Because that would have been a little OP. We're popping in, X-Men and Xavier School Leech. And why is this guy meta? Well, first off, we're going to be getting a pretty much an outwit that can, pick as many people as I can draw a line of fire to. So that's pretty good. Not to forget the fact that there are game effects in the whole scope of the game that can just change the size of Leech. And still one that's legal until retirement is Mitzelplick. So yeah, just let that soak in real good. Leech shows up on the field. Giant Leech. Boom, line of fire to everybody to outwit within 6 squares. So, yeah, Leech is one of our biggest elements that we can see being called in from the student IDs. The next element that we see with Leech is this. The fact that you could just say to pick a power characters, man, you can pick everything but this power. And I think that's a very big deal for a couple of reasons. Number one, when you're calling him in, you're going to have this on your opponent's turn. So you can call it off, call him in, negate one power. And if a pick a power character is about to do something else to you, or some combination of powers are going to be really, really bad for you if a pick a power character picks those powers, say that 5 times fast, then you have the chance for double negation. And I really do like that. Now, I will also say the liability of Leech is that he's 3 clicks deep. And since he is 3 clicks deep, just expect him to be 35 points scored to your opponent every time. Do what you have to do, protect him if you can, reposition him if you can, but just expect that to be 35 points to your opponent every time. I can't see how you're going to get around that. All right. On to I would figure is the best student ID, and that's All New Wolverine. Now, in my breakdown of All New Wolverine as a figure, I like the figure overall. My problem with All New Wolverine is that from a point cost perspective, we are paying a lot for a Pog. Paying a lot for a Pog. And I know some of you might be saying, what? You're paying a lot for a Pog? Well, let's really look at it. Well, first off, you have the trait. Unexpected team-ups. During Force Construction, All New Wolverine gains all the keywords of one character she shares at least one of her printed keywords with. Okay, so she can get the keyword, all the keywords off of somebody that she shares one, keyword with, which allows her to sort of bleed into some other teams. And they try to do that, but realistically, I'm not feeling it. But it's something that's there. Then you get your free Jonathan. That's in your trait. So we already know about Jonathan. And Jonathan is really the main reason why this ID card is probably way more powerful than it should be. Then you have Kickstarted Healing Factor at the beginning of your turn. You may roll a d6. Add the number of action tokens on All New Wolverine. On a final result of 5 or more, heal 1 click. Now, this isn't that great, realistically. It's really not that great, realistically, and it's not optional. So if you're on regen and you're like, I have potential to get back up there, this trait can screw you very, very badly and sideways. So, yeah. Now, the Perplex is nice. I'm not going to hate on that. But realistically, we're trying to bring him Jonathan, and Jonathan is going to give us pretty much a character with Blaze Claw's Fangs and Battle Fury, which is very important with the massive amount of shape change that's out there. Definitely with the Professor X ID. Okay. So this character allows us to get one attack in, charge blades, possibly perplex up our blades attack to a 12. Let the dice be with us. Hopefully we do not roll a 1 or a 2. And we roll decent. Okay, so that happened. Great. Cool story, bro. Alright, then we free action pop Jonathan adjacent, make him do what it do, man, and finish somebody off. And more than likely Jonathan's going to be rolling 6 for us, with the blades digits. So overall, All New Wolverine is great because definitely if you're running a, I hate to say turntable, but a round table, you have another Pog figure that will pump up your table real easily. And then also, if you're not playing table, you're getting a free henchman. I mean, what more is there to say? So having the permanent Jonathan is what makes this character good. And when we start talking about the headmasters and their IDs, them being able to get free student IDs, then yeah, that really will become a part of the issue. That's definitely going to be part of our overall conversation. Anyway, I just wanted to test to see if the chat thing worked. Again, completely new at this, having fun with it. All right, so let's keep going down. Now, I would touch on Brew real quick. And now the main reason why I'm touching on Brew is that for your opponent to kill Brew, and I'm assuming you want to summon them in at 50, they're going to have to get through a stop click. And they can't just green arrow him because the stop click is on the damage. Not only that, dumping 2 attacks in him is not that bad at 50, but if you call him in at 50, he's coming in with Outwit, I think if you bring him in at 30, nope, 25, nope, 25, you just get outwit. Sorry. So yeah, but if you bring him in at 50, you get the stop click. So you're never really going to get access to that Blaze Claw's fangs. And you're asking yourself a couple of quick questions. Question number one: why am I using this over Leech? And the answer is, if you don't have Leech. That's really the answer. If you don't have a Leech ID card, or a Beast ID card, for that matter, and you need a character to pop in and do outwit, then Brew is your alien. That's pretty much it. I think that's a interesting element that allows him to be a little bit more crafty. He's also tiny sized, just like Leech, so you have the ability to maneuver him around. But Brew really, unfortunately, is a trash card. We get those, time to time, unless he comes back later on, in the comics, and he gets full grown Brood, and decides not to be a dink, and maybe not kill so many students. Then we could be see something awesome. All right, next up is my man Gold Balls. Okay, Gold Balls is the stuff. Okay, now I know many of you are like, man, your Gold Balls love. Why, Edward? Why? And just see all this awesome here. Just look at it. Just gaze upon the golden orbs dangling around. Just look at them. All right, now enough joking around. Why is Gold Balls awesome in the overall game? Now, there's a couple of reasons. Reason number one, as I went into the review, those little balls are permanent. So anything that generates an effect that lasts past the character has higher value than somebody that just goes in and does an attack. Okay. Yes, you got to hit with the point power. Okay, that is true. But the best part is, even when you hit and that light standard object is made, you could just be like, well, I'm going to pick up this light object with so-and-so, and this character is just going to maneuver next to people and with this gold ball. And, oh yeah, while I'm adjacent, opposing characters that are either occupying the same square as it or opposing characters adjacent to, occupying the same square as, or holding one or more gold ball objects, modify their attack and defense by -1. Okay? So, now, you can't sort of stack it like I wanted it to, going back, but modifying your opponent's attack and defense by -1, and you can have some podunk pog, like one of your 8 pogs or your serpent pogs, pick up this object. It's a light object. It doesn't affect your friendlies. It only affects opposing characters. And you can just be like, yeah, 8 Flash, rolling up there, homie, or 8 Batman, who is better. And he just moves up and boom, I'm next to this person. Now you have -1 attack and defense, and bloop, I move over here. Now you're -1 attack and defense. And there you go. So not only that, you get a +1 damage when you actually hit somebody with the gold balls. So that's phase 1. Like, that's the obvious phase. Let's go into phase 2. We're multi-layered technical international thinking here on Starting Over Podcast. I actually like the fact that people can see my hand gestures now, so I think that's cool. The next thing that we see that's a direct issue is gold balls can also just knock somebody upside their head using Force Blast. Now, a lot of people underestimate Force Blast, mainly because they're not used to using it a lot. So we can see gold balls as another tool, which most other characters can't aren't really used to being used as. We can have gold balls summon in to force blast somebody off a bridge, into a wall, whatever else, or have them hit with the gold balls, which we then can use to increase our damage output or lower our opponent's attack and defense. Either way, we're winning. So you also have that ex-student trait when this character or an adjacent friendly character attack roll includes exactly 1/5, modify one target's defense by -1. So potentially we can, negate an opponent's defense by -2. So overall, Gold Balls is a major shenanigans piece. And with his ID card, he's just great. So next up is Prodigy. Now, I like Prodigy as a character when I was reading the comics. Okay. The problem with Prodigy, again, is you're competing with Leech. Now, from a force construction perspective, that's up to you. You could have Prodigy and Leech. But other than that, you're competing with Leech. And you're asking yourself, why am I playing Leech? Why am I not playing Leech? And again, if you don't have a Leech ID, then yes, I get why you're playing Prodigy. Definitely if you have a limited amount of ID cards. Okay, and I would just make it clear, right now, your 1, 2, and 3 of your student IDs should be number 1, all new Wolverine. Number 2 should be Leech. Okay, just straight up being gangster honest with you. And number 3 is tied with M and Chamber, depending on your build. And we're going to get to M and Chamber later. Now, I know some folks will be like, man, but Prodigy's pretty good. He is pretty good with his Knowledge Sponge ability. Okay? But here's the problem. You're calling him in on your turn. Okay? And then you're like, okay, boom. I'm gonna outwit something. Okay, this cat has no stop clicks, unlike Brew at 50. Okay? He has support later on, but more than likely you're not getting any of that. Okay? That's too many tricks that you're going to have to try to pull off to get that. Okay? And then, really the worst element of it is like, he comes in, you power action, bring him in, he outwits, does whatever, and then you can possibly X-Men heal, eating up another action. But that's the best I can see you like stretching that. Like really, like taffy pulling that one. But his ability to say like on your opponent's turn that you can grant a friendly character the chosen power that the pick a power figure picked is really good. But the problem comes in is that you have to guarantee in all your matchups you're dealing with pick a power. And one thing that I've seen recently is Jakeem is not around. He's not. And if Darwin didn't exist, Jakeem would be around. And Prodigy's value would be a lot higher. Let me make that clear. Okay? Because of Darwin. Strictly because of Darwin. No one's playing Jakeem. And there are other pick-a-power characters, but real talk, people, your number 1 pick-a-power character is Unimind, and your number 2 is Jakeem. And Unimind can just pick once and it's done. As long as Unimind knows what it's doing. Oh, I'm going against Shredders. Have Invincible for the rest of the game. I'm not doing anything else. It's easy for a Unimind player to know what they're doing. Jakeem has to pick. So Prodigy has more value. But as Jakeem sort of like goes off into the proverbial old folks home, you're not going to see him just because Darwin exists. So real talk, this Prodigy should have been Darwin. And if we get any other pick a power characters, the question comes in is, are they going to be as good as Jakeen? Or as good as Goblin King? And truth be told, I don't see WizKids doing that. So, there we go. All right, now let's talk about Chamber. And why did I put Chamber up there as one of the best student IDs? Well, let's look at Chamber. And we're going to break that down for a bit. All right. First off, let's look at these numbers. 70 points, 6 range, Force Blast, Psychic Blast, Enhancement. Okay? Like let's not get it twisted. Okay? Let's not get it twisted whatsoever as I go in to try to mute my phone. The first thing that we can see is that this is a very stout cannon. Not the most Kamehameha, is cannon ever, but it's a very stout cannon. The next thing that we can notice real clearly is you could Psy Blast somebody for 3 or modify the damage up to 4 real easily, knock them back that distance, and potentially do 1 to 2 more damage, depending on the map. That's a lot of damage potential. Now, go back to what I said about Gold Balls. Oh, hey, I can summon you in to do a Force Blast attack. So I can punch and use Force Blast. I don't have to use a ranged attack and use Force Blast. Thus, going back to, hey, man, I can increase my damage output. This figure is not stout. It's 5 clicks deep. It's not super sturdy. But if you play it right, it does a lot for its little package. And then you have a living sonic furnace thing. And it says you get poison, but you're not going to use it. When he uses it, he deals penetrating damage to opposing characters of less points. So, well, we're never going to use that. But we do get Generation X. Power, move up to 5 squares, then make a close attack. So you can just charge up on a dude. So when we look at flexibility, it's there. When we look at options, there's a bunch. If you even want to call him in for an enhancement in a shot, he can do it. So Chamber is up there. Chamber does a lot more than a lot of student IDs. And I know some of you are going to say, but Prodigy will let me steal powers and he has an outwit. But again, you have to have a pick of power. I don't care what my matchup is. I can use Prodigy. I can use Chamber. I can't always use Prodigy. Okay? And that's the real problem. That's the real problem, is knowing that you can't always use Prodigy, but I can always use Chamber. All right. Because I'm a Gen X fan, I'm going to tell you something that's really sad. There was a point when, I don't know what he did, but Angel and Psylocke broke up. I don't know what happened. They were together for like the longest time. And he did like what a lot of rich guys do when they break up with their woman. They go and get someone younger. And so he dated Husk for a while. And that was a little creepy to me. But yeah, that happened. So let's look at Husk. And I'm going to bring up the Wolverine and the X-Men Husk. Because realistically, if you had to pick one, pick this one. Pick the Wolverine and the X-Men one. Play that in Golden Age. Don't play this crap. Don't play this Husk crap, okay? Again, why are you playing this? Why are you playing this? Now, it's not all poops and cat litter, okay? It's not all poops and cat litter. There's some positives. But again, if I get this for free, or I'm paying 3 points, why am I playing Husk ID? And the only reason I can see to play the Husk ID is if in the future there's some DC villain named Husk, and he appears or she appears, and they are way more pimp than than this. That's the only reason I can see to have this ID card. And then by that time, this ID card should be going for $45. Let's just be real about it. All right, so let's look at Husk. What's her advantage? Her advantage number one is that she has this sidestep. Yes, that is actually the one of the biggest distinct advantages. Because she has this sidestep, she can sort of like maneuver around and get a hit in. But then you can also have her do this little trick where she uses the Generation X trait, moves up the 5 squares, hits, and then attempts to breakaway sidestep to get to go poof. So that's a really nice little combo that you can do. She has a special power that says, hey, free, choose a standard power. Husk can use the chosen power until your next turn. Now, some of you might say, aha, Dark Logos, this is when we use Husk, because now I can have Invincible, or I can have, energy shield deflection, and I can have another character copy that power, or whatever else I need. Well, great. You have a power stealer person. Well, guess also what? We have a person that picks a power with all this anti-pick a power stuff. So you're just pretty much giving your opponent free damage or free or hey man, also take this pimp power that I'm about to take. Just automatically. Okay, the shape change in 2 damage, while interesting and while nice, is really craptastic. It's not useful. The point cost, you are better off with Prodigy over Husk. And you already saw how I felt about Prodigy. So overall, this is like a negative 10. Never play Husk. Unless, in the future, because I've been wrong about Mistress Death. Pre-Mjolnir, I guess. But anyway, people in the future, don't come and hate on me. If for some reason there's some new character, DC or Marvel, named Husk. And they're awesome. Don't hate on me. All right. Next up is Jubilee. And the Jubilee ID card is what I call a flex ID card. Okay? Now, you might be wondering why I want to say it's a flex ID card. It's pretty much because of all these little options down here. If you're a Golden Age wizard, pulling out this Prime is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. Pulling out this 56-point Jubilee, it's not great, but it's not bad. Even this new Jubilee, she's, all honesty, better than Husk in every way. So let's break this down. All right, so we got the free 5 square move and slap a dude, action there. And then we also have the sunglasses aren't just a fashion dude. You have energy explosion. Woo! And when Jubilee uses it and hits, modify all hit characters' attack and defense by -1 until your next turn. Where have I heard that before? Oh yeah, Gold Balls. Yeah, so Gold Balls and Jubilee are a dynamic duo of very, very amusing fun time. You start off with running shot with Jubilee, so she's flexible. So she can either be melee or she can be ranged, depending on the circumstances. 10 attack, 3 damage, energy shield. She's 5 clicks deep. She's reasonable. Okay? Is she the best student ID? Again, no. But she's good. So that's why I'm like, yeah, play her. Now, because I don't want to bring up like half of HC Realms, let's talk about M. And this is why M is probably like number tied 3 or 4 depending on the day and the situation. Okay, let's look at M and why she is awesome. Okay, for 3 points, I get a chance to have hypersonic speed, 10 attack, Invincible, 3 damage with the special. Okay, well, let me take that back. I don't really get the special part because it's going to be past my beginning of turn phase. But pretty much, I look at this as hypersonic speed, 10 attack, 3 damage. That's really good for 90 points. All right, let's look at her lower points. Okay, 50 points. Charge, super strength, and invuln. And she's in Dom. That doesn't really matter that much. For 50 points. So she can charge, pick up a heavy or a light, whatever, and then hit somebody. Or she can, just free move, pick up a light or heavy on the way, and make a close attack. Or actually, I don't think she could do that. I don't know. Like, there's some weird things with object attacks and stuff. But any way it goes, you're just able to make an attack. It's pretty good. It's really good. You have a very decent damage output, and we also forget that super strength works like a general force blast as well. All right, we're almost through these crappy student IDs. And I know some of you might say, like, why aren't you talking about Rusty and Skids? Because they suck. Rusty and Skids suck. Like, completely. And again, I don't think they're going to pop out and win worlds. Okay? And if someone does come up and win worlds because of a Rusty and Skids ID card, props to you. You are the king or queen, or the king, queen, whatever, queen, king of heroclix. All right. Let's look at skin. I like skin, but Go Balls is better. Go Balls! All right, so let's look at skin real quick. Skin is nice, but he's not great. Okay. He has end cap. He has shape change. He can move 5 squares. Yay. He also has plasticity, giant reach 2, which is sort of nice. Very, very niche situation where that's good. Opposing characters within 2 squares in line of fire treat skin as adjacent for movement. So stealth people, you're good. That's pretty much the best way I could put it. The charge and end cap is nice, but overall, it's not worth the call home. All right, last but not least, Sync. Sync, man, they did you dirty. They did you so dirty. So here we go. Free. Choose a friendly character within range and choose a standard power. This is only really good if you're picking Outwit, Perplex, Prob, maybe CCE or RCE, and in a rare occasion, Hypersonic Speed or Precision Strike or Psychic Blast. Because his damage is crap. His damage is completely crap. And I can only say that he's good on a Generation X team because of that Perplex. But you take away that Perplex, he's not that good. Now you could say, well, hey, Dark Logos, let's take a step back. What about Mind Control? Mind Control could be good. I'm like, yeah, Mind Control could sort of be good. But is it worth it really to call him into Mind Control? That's very, very limited. Okay. Well, hey, you're going to say, hey, Dark Logos, let's look at that Perplex, Prob, and Outwit. That's pretty good, too. And I'm like, well, on Outwit, we still have Leech. We still have Leech, and we still also have Prodigy. And we also have, Beast and whoever else, in this, X-Men lineup. So, do we really want to call in Sync for, that point? And then you can say like, all right, well, but Prob, come on, Prob, buddy. I'm like, for 2 more points, I could call in Zatanna and have a permanent Prob. So, yep, Bite Fence. Thank you for popping up during my show. But yeah, so overall, we're realistically stuck saying he doesn't really have a point. Now, if you're playing the Generation X team, then you can get some, a little extra mileage out of him. But all honesty, he's not that good and needs to be avoided. Drastically avoided. Like, play just for fun. Don't play it because, like, oh, he's meta. Dark Logo says he's meta. Like, no, Dark Logo said the opposite. He's not meta. All right. So, now that we've gone through that, we're stuck asking ourselves some questions with the standard IDs that give us powers. And we're 36 minutes in, so we got some time. All right, so we're asking ourselves a couple questions. Question number 1. Which of these ID cards are actually holding their weight right now? Not necessarily in the whole HeroClix stock market exchange, because all of them are way more inflated than what they're worth, including the Wolverine ID card. So which one of these are actually probably we're going to end up seeing the most? And I would argue that as of right now, before pre-retirement, Magneto, Storm, Wolverine, Iceman, and Cyclops hold the most weight. Now, you might be saying, why Cyclops? Because that inspiration, for most people, is straight boo-boo. Okay? And the main reason is because of either Chase Cyclops, with him being, 100 points, running shot, psychic blast, 4 damage, and then having leadership and enhancement. Excuse me. Or you could call him in at lower points, at 60 points. And he has precision strike and the ability to knock back with RCE. And then he's still, with sidestep, and he's still, can be 11-4 or a 12-3 or a 10-5, all however you want to, shift them magical points. When we start going into Golden Age, it's like this Cyclops comes and stares at you. And when AVX Cyclops comes and stares at you, that's when you know you have something. That's realistically when you know you have something. You can't summon Dark Phoenix Cyclops or any of these other, it's Psych. No, you can't summon those guys in. But you can just sort of go back through. You can summon in, here we go. Phoenix Force Cyclops. You can summon that sucker in with an ID card. Yeah. Some of y'all forgot about that. Get that running shot pulse wave action. Roll that beautiful beam footage. But mainly right now, with so many X-Men themed teams, bringing out Super Rare Cyclops is probably going to be the number 1 reason. He just gets that double tap. Oh, you heard an X-Men? Call him out. Bloop. Shoot 1, shoot 2. And you can bump him up and he still gets a Headmaster trait where he gets perplexed. And he's like, oh yeah, Wolverine, perplex up your damage. Magneto, perplex up your damage, your defense, your attack, whatever. And it's golden. And that's really a thing that's you have to look at. And he has running shot, 8 range, and 3 base damage. Like, that's good. And if he's on the right side of the board, he has Psychic Blast. And if he's on the other side of the board, he has Energy Shield Deflection. I mean, what is there to ask questions about? Okay. Next up, Iceman. We already know why Iceman. It's not even because of his inspiration. But let me backtrack to Cyclops' inspiration real quick with Force Blast. Some people might say this is a crap power. But number 1, we haven't gotten Force Blast from ID card before. Number 2, Remember what I said about super strength. Remember what I said about gold balls. Being able to get Force Blast on top of everything else can create a situation for additional damage. Okay? Additional damage. So you're like, oh, I knock you till you stop click, and all you have is a stop click. No toughness, no anything. Oh, and now knockback, and you're dead. You're dead. Okay, so there's something interesting like that. So the actual value of Cyclops is way, 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 way higher than what people were actually thinking it is. Okay, Iceman and Barrier. There's really only one Iceman. Well, there's two Icemans right now that people are going to play. So we know which one we know the Chase. Chase Iceman with the free Goliaths of Icemans. Yeah, we're going to see those. Okay. And we're also going to see the one from Uncanny X-Men for a while. If we go into, some other like older Icemans, Tab App Iceman, Chunky Swole Kid Iceman, that's my boy from way back. He still is great. Okay, so go get this. This is one of the best. This is like the number 2-3 Iceman of all time. This sucker is great. Play him. Play Chunky Iceman. This is another, like, just look at that picture. Just look at that picture. He's all confident and chunky. He's just like, do you need some ice in your drink? There you go. All right, so Chunky Iceman, everybody. Chunky Iceman. But real talk, let's talk about Chase Iceman. Chase Iceman, the running shot pulse wave right now is not as good as I thought it was. Now, I played Iceman ID card this past weekend at a WizKids Open. And I used him once. And in real talk, it's just the way the games went. Overall, his utility isn't there right now. And so you're stuck asking yourself, why play him? Like, real talk, why play him? And there's really not a lot of reasons to. And you could say, like, but if my opponent goes off and does this, that, and the other, I can run shot pulse wave him. Yeah, you can. Yes, you can. But I would also sort of follow up is, you could also just hit him with a Green Arrow ID card. Now, some of you might say, like, but look, Dark Logos, Green Arrow is $100. And I will come back to you and say, a Iceman ID card is $50, and the Chase Iceman is floating somewhere between $50 if you're lucky, and $75 on the high end. And a Green Arrow ID card is somewhere between $10 and $20. Do the math. It's cheaper to have Green Arrow in the Green Arrow ID. It just is. So, even if you play him at 175 or his lower point value, he has his advantages, but just dropping him in for a pulse wave grenade bomb, I don't see that happening. There are too many other issues floating around right now to make that a constant reality where this is always good. And I think one of the major problems of that is Beta Ray Bill. Like, if you pulse wave Beta Ray Bill, you're more than likely going to be doing a multi-target pulse wave because you're not getting Bill by himself. Okay, and then with the amount of swarms and pogs and other jank that you can put out there, getting a single target pulse wave is a lot harder. And then also, I mean, for number 3 reason, or the third reason, with a lack of Jakeem, the only other person that you're going to punk is Goblin King, and Goblin King is hanging out with a multitude of other things. And I don't see you getting that pulse wave off real easily, if at all. So those are things that we have to factor in right now. So Iceman ID card, from a tactical perspective, is not as high in value right now. Then you add in the barrier effect, It's not really increasing your offensive capability. You know, break in case of emergency, give, you know, random pogs, you know, barrier. That's nice and all. 5 points to buy you time. That's nice and all, but I don't see where you're going to go from there. Oh. Anyway, I'm looking at Jean Grey. I'm just shaking my head. Like, I thought that there's a couple of things where I thought it would pan out differently, but I'll touch on that a little later. Now let's talk about Magneto. Magneto in the house. Why is Magneto on the top list of pretty much Headmaster IDs? Well, number one, it's not really for any of these Magnetos up here. It's definitely not for him. In the future, it will be for him when you want to establish a TK yo-yo for, you know, some other character, because you need to. But for right now, it's not for him. It's for him. Okay. I know some of you might be saying, like, but Dark Logos, why wouldn't I call in Chase Magneto? He at 150 points, and then I can make him do his one thing, and then he has the ability to attack twice, and I can punch somebody at close up for 5 damage, and 5 damage again, Dark Logos. Why not Chase Magneto? Well, let's break that down, random person, because you do have a legit argument. Why not Chase Magneto instead of uncommon Magneto? Let's break this down together with the power of friendship. Okay, so first off, Chase Mags takes a power action. He comes in, takes a power action. All right. Then he says, whoop-de-dee-da, now I have 2 chunks of crap. And I'm going to throw 2 chunks of crap at you. And hopefully they're at range, so they're going to do 3 damage and 3 damage. Okay, so if let's just say we're talking about a range situation. Well, guess what? Uncommon Magneto says, I can do the same thing. Not as far range, but I can do functionally the same thing. Okay? So, right there, it's relatively a tie. Okay? Then, you know, Chase Magneto says, but look, you can have me do melee attacks, and then I hit for 5 damage. Ha ha. Okay. Now, Uncommon Magneto says, you know, hey, cool, for 100 more points, that's a pretty good trick. But 2 perplexes, and I do exactly the same thing. And on top of that, if I so choose, I can run, you know, use my free attack, use running shot as a free action, do that, shoot, get really, really close, and then sidestep and punch. So I can perfectly always get past my opponent's defenses. Whereas Magneto is stuck with that melee attack to get his maximum damage off. Now, you can't argue, hey, I gave 2 perplexes to Magneto. Yeah. But realistically, I don't have to have a 150 point piece to summon in Uncommon Magneto. So, when all said and done, Uncommon Magneto does way more than normal Magneto. There's also another issue that comes up, and as normally I'm good on this from a prep perspective. Here we go, team abilities. All right. Brotherhood. When this character hits an opposing character with an attack roll of 10 through 12 after resolution, remove an action token from this character. Yeah, okay, so that doesn't really help us in this situation. But, you know, it's pretty good. So, All right, we're almost at an hour, so I'm gonna try to wrap this up a little bit. But so you can start to see, like, when it comes to accessibility, Magneto is way better. All right, let's talk about Storm and Wolverine almost in tandem. Storm gives us 3 targets. This can be good. Unfortunately, with Storm, her options aren't as good. Now, of course, we have price support Storm, and if you listen to me before, you wouldn't have gotten your LE Storm. You would have been like, Dark Logos, thank you, bless you and your family, because you're not paying out the butt for her right now. Okay, you're not, paying a down payment on someone's college tuition to try to get this Storm. Okay, and this is really like the main hype: running shot, pulse wave, and either that or you pay 100 points to get running shot, precision strike with a perplex. I'm not mad either way, whichever way you go. But real talk, like, you just look at this, it's a lot of awesome. Now, you also have Hello, I'm a Transporter, Storm. And this isn't bad, but you're more than likely not. You're not playing this unless you're doing X-Men. It's not worth the ID card, okay? But then we go look back in the Golden Age, and then, oh, here she is. Mwah. Oh, gosh. Common Storm. Oh, gosh, she's so great. Free Smoke Cloud, Perplex, Stealth. 10 attack, 2 damage. Wow. That's beautiful. That's double support, people. Double support. Okay, for 50 points, popping in. Doing work. Okay. Then you also have 90-point Storm, and she's not as good, but the Winds Will Hold You villain is really nice effect that could just stay on somebody and be annoying. And when we go into Golden Age, even further into Golden Age, we can find, like, Wolverine in the X-Men Storm. She's not bad. We go really, really far back. Giant size X-Men Storm. This is a Storm. This is a really good Storm. Play this Storm. The Mutants and Monsters one isn't bad. She's a little bit better now because of the rules changes with the leadership, and she's 10 range. So yeah, like, definitely you could probably get her for dirt cheap. And the mother of cheap flying awesome characters, Danger Room Storm, stealth 8 range RCE, just mwah. And if you can't get that Storm, I think here it is. The 59-point Storm is just as good, if not better. So, yeah. All right, so let's talk about Wolverine real quick. Wolverine's ID, unfortunately, comes in and does 2 things to us. It at first tells us, look, you're going to heal 1 for free. And you're not bound by any crappy rules with your stop clicks or anything else. You get to heal 1 for free. The downside is, in modern age, there's really only one Wolverine that you really want to bring out. And let me rephrase that. If you're playing high points, you're going to be busting out super rare Wolverine. But you need to be able to have a team that's able to get him to the other side of the field, on your opponent's side of the field, so that he has flurry. Okay? Like, that's what you want. You want that flurry. All right. Not only that, you just like Cyclops, you want to have X-Men, so that your opponent hits an X-Men, and you're like, okay, I'm going to fart out Wolverine, and Wolverine's like, gotcha, bub. And he just berserker barrages up a Storm. And, he makes chili and fries. And yeah, like, they're dead. And just to sort of put it in perspective, you get your blades, 2 blades attacks, because you can flurry blades. And then just punch a dude for free. I mean, that's how it goes. And let's see. He gets Flurry. Yeah, closer to opposing starting area, he can use Flurry. Stay away from my students. Make a close attack, but only target an opposing character that damaged another friendly character with X-Men keyword with an attack. And again, damage with an attack is important. All right. So that's the one you're using. You can't call in all new Wolverine. You can't do anything else. You only can call in Wolverine. Now you go into Deadpool. If you're going in on the cheap end, you're going in sub 100. You don't want to call in cheapo Wolverine because cheapo Wolverine is not. He's not great, bub. Like it sounds great. 50 points, fart him out on your opponent's side of the field. Charge flurry. I said furry. Charge flurry blades. Doing it hot and bothered. But I'm not feeling it because your opponent goes shot number 1, stop click, shot number 2. You're dead. And your opponent scored 50 points for very little work. Now, if you're on the lower end, I gotta say, Deadpool and the X-Force Wolverine is a very good Wolverine. Why is that? Because you just drop him off, blanket, cleric, heal everybody in the area. Heal one. Da, da, da. Boom, drop Wolverine. Okay, Blaze Claws fangs him in the face. And be like, yeah, come try to kill him. And until you don't even, you just like, yeah, it's a 70 point Wolverine. How deep can he be? Like really, how deep can he be? It's like, he's 9 clicks. He's not going to die, so your opponent isn't going to score points. And this is where this is a bigger deal. Now, I know some of my teammates can be like, yo, this Wolverine sucks. Some of my locals are like, yo, this Wolverine is great. And I would tell you the difference between the two Wolverines is this. You're going to play the X-Men Xavier School Wolverine if you have a 150 point character. You're going to play the low point Wolverine if you are in a situation where you cannot score a lot of points. The Deadpool and X-Force Wolverine is there if you cannot score a lot of points. And if you can't score a lot of points, then that's fine. That's fine. But you can't afford for your opponent to get an easy 50 and run from you. So if your team is not that mobile, you really can't afford for your opponent to be like, yeah, I got a easy 50 points here. I got an overdrive. Good luck catching me, buddy. So, yeah. Now, you can go look at, this one, and I think that's a bad idea. I think that's a really, really bad idea. Don't use the Fast Forces Wolverine. You have the Uncanny X-Men Wolverine, which, again, is a bad idea. You're better off with the super rare than this crappy common. Okay, because you're coming in with a 10 attack. And unless you have some weird shenanigan where you can, like, Bizarro World his dial and have him pop out with a 13 Blades Battle Fury, it's a bad idea. Okay, and then, again, same situation with this other Wolverine. He's 115 points of crap. You're not doing yourself any favors. Okay, so going into some deck ideas, because I know I'm approaching, over an hour. And none of y'all stopped by to see me. And I stream every other Wednesday, so all fairness, this is my second or third time doing this, so yeah. Let's talk about decks right now in the modern sphere when it comes to ID cards. Number one, I call your chop suey decks. You're going full in melee. You're slicing and dicing. All right. So you're looking at your swordsman ID, and you're looking at katana because you're running Blaze Claws Fangs. You're also looking at Ares, and you're looking at Wolverine. Okay. Shang-Chi is nice, because he gives you that +1 when making that close attack. But it's not necessarily mandatory. But I would say, think about Shang-Chi. And if you don't like Shang-Chi, feel free to replace Shang-Chi with either Colossus or Superman. Colossus or Superman. And that way, you could drop in Colossus and Superman IDs, and then you're at your 6 IDs. This is a melee focused deck. You just come in there and you're just like, ugh, I'm not stopping until you're dead. Ugh. Oh, I got blades. Flurry some blades. Ugh. Okay, I don't have blades. Give me blades. Oh, okay. All right, cool. I took some damage. Heal. Okay, I got impervious right now. I got invincible right now. I can survive. I'm not going to give up. Okay. So, there's that deck. Then we have what I call is the Good Student Special. Now, the Good Student Special is you're just running a bunch of student IDs because you're getting them for free. Not because you're paying for them. It's because you're getting them for free. So, what I would argue is you have your general, hey, let's just go out there and blow them up. And so, you want all new Wolverine, Chamber, Jubilee, Chamber, Jubilee, and M. So that's your easy 4 that you can play. You can add in gold balls, but more than likely you're not going to have more than 4 headmasters and under 300. If you only have 3 headmasters, again, all new Wolverine, I would go Chamber, and then M or Leech, depending on what you're feeling. Okay. If you're looking at trying to be a lot more range focused decks right now in the meta, I would throw this out here. You want Green Arrow, not just because Chase Green Arrow helps you deal with the BS that is Unimind, but you get that +2 attack from range, and that actually is useful. So what you're going to be looking at is Sentry. I know some people are like, ugh, Sentry, but yeah, Sentry. It gives you a ranged combat expert. You take a damage, but you get a ranged combat expert, and that can throw your opponent off. Really throw your opponent off. They're like, oh, what? You summon Sentry? Like, yeah. Or you got Sentry on your round table? Like, yeah. So I'm going to take a click, and then once I take this click of damage, after actions resolve, I'm going to trigger off some other effect. But anyway, so going back, you want Sentry, you might want Ares, okay? And I really emphasize might. You might want Ares. You do want level 7, not just for Nick, but people forget that it modifies your attack value by +1 when making a ranged combat attack if you're adjacent to Nick. Okay, so a lot of people forget that. Okay, and so what did I say? Sentry, Ares, Green Arrow, Nick. Yeah, and there was one more ID card. There was one more ID card that I was thinking of when I had this in the back of my head. Oh well, whatever. I can't think of it right now. And then there is what I would call the Lock 'em Down team. Now, I came across this while working with Lock 'em Down deck. And I came across this when I was talking to one of my teammates, and I was helping him sort of finalize his build. So what you do is you use the Captain Cold ID. And this is where this starts off. So you get Captain Cold, and you have Plastic Man. And Plastic Man gives you plasticity and shape change. Okay? And Captain Cold makes it so that adjacent opposing characters can't automatically break away or use improved movement ignores characters. Okay? So you could try combining that with like Hawkman or something like that if you're also doing like close combat stuff, or Rick Jones or other stuff. You can also add in Venom and Martian Manhunter, and then Professor XID to sort of have this shape change, like screw you deck, like I'm not going anywhere, and I actually like it. But in particular, you can also add in Lex Luthor, and I know there's like con exclusive IDs, but these IDs are dirt cheap. They're dirt cheap. You could probably get all these for like less than $5 right now. Maybe let me phrase that, less than 10. But Lex Luthor comes in definitely late game on your table, and it's like, hey, check me out. Outlet for everybody. Captain Cole's like, nope, you're staying there. And you can even say Iceman too, because now you have barriers, so you can start separating and caging people off and be like, nah, you're not going anywhere either. So, now I lost connection to my mouse. But yeah, so overall, you can start to see just from a tech and deck perspective, the student IDs are okay. They're not all great. Most of them are bad, but they're all right. We can be offensive with them more than what the community is actually thinking about. Okay. At the other end, we look at the professor IDs or the headmaster IDs. We start to realize, like, not all of them are hot. Yeah, let's just put it like that. Not all of them are hot. Some of them are okay. They're good enough. And the Magneto ID card in particular, I think for right now, it's going to stay as one of those more powerful cards because of the chase and because of that uncommon. If you try to separate and weed out and try to go with the newer Magneto, you're sort of wasting your time. Functionally, okay. Iceman and Storm, realistically, I feel right now they don't have a solid place. And again, I know running shot pulse wave, somebody's going to be like, "Hey, man, when is running shot pulse wave never good?" And I get it. I fully get it. I'm on your side. I get it. But from experience, without Jakeem running around there, you don't have as much of a need to use that as you might think. There are a lot of other tools that work really well. Definitely with Leech. Leech. Don't sleep on that ID. Do not sleep on that ID. Get Leech while he's cheap and people do not understand what he is. Okay? Like, get him while folks are like, man, I think I'll trade your Leech for an uncommon. How's that feel, young man? There you go. No. That Leech is good. Leech ID card is good, and that Leech character is good. So don't get caught don't get caught without Leech ID card. All right. So I said I was going to be doing like standard shows. I don't want everybody to just think like, oh, you see my face, so I'm only going to be talking about maps. I did watch an episode that I put up, and I'm like, this is ESPN for HeroClix nerds. So yeah. All right, that's it. You can follow me on Twitter at StartOverPod. It came from outer space and told me, man, you gotta up your Twitch game. Gotta get some people here. It can't just be you staring into the digital void. We already have a dimension of 853B, Edward Shelton, that does that. You can't do it as well. All right, you can find out when new shows are up, and then I don't know if the Twitch is tied to the Twitter, so you could also possibly know if I'm live streaming. Also, you can email me at startingoverpodcast@gmail.com. That's startingoverpodcast@gmail.com if you wish to opine. Keep it piffy, keep it interesting, keep it roll out, baby. Yeah, sorry. Tried to do Optimus Prime a little too hard and then channeled something else. Autobots, roll out. Yeah, so anyway, email me about what you think about my ID card list. I'm not it's the funny thing with ID cards. I'm sort of putting some preset ideas out there, is that they're not just like flat play this, because playing these cards make you automatically win. It's not like that. They are specifically designed for certain types of like general ideas that you can sort of plug and play. And you can take cards out, put cards in based on what you have or don't have, or what you're trying to do or don't do. But they're just general ideas. So feel free to hit me up and tell me your thoughts about that. About your ideas on the deck builds that I put out. And you can go over to startingoverpodcast.blogspot.com and donate to the show. So yeah, that's it. I'd like to thank you all for listening. Come over to Twitch. Check me out on Twitch. And remember, we all have to start over sometime. Oh, and before we start over, I didn't forget to put a show up. I have my recording from my last week's WKO. I just haven't edited it yet. But yeah, now, remember, we all have to start over sometime.